Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Reus out. Another fantastic goal by Marco Reus. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond compare.
Jetzt kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inzo an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!
Welcome back to Dortmund Dispatch. Pedro, how close are you to the most recent Borussia Dortmund match compared to me?
Man, I'm super near. What's up, guys? It's good to be back. I'm going to talk a little bit quieter here because I'm currently in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. I'm not really far from Germany. I think I would say from here to Dortmund. I'm not sure. I can search it up, but it's probably like by car, like 3 or 4 hours driving. Like I'm just guessing, but I don't know. But I'm pretty near. So I was watching the match on local time, 9 p.m. And yeah, very like Dortmund-esque game. It was good to see Marco Reus being honored in the stadium, but as it was when he was a player, Dortmund usually disappoints him, and that happened again. So
Yeah, didn't get a chance to watch the match, but I did get a chance to kind of look through the shot map, and it just looks like Dortmund got a little bit unlucky. I don't know. It's hard to say much more than that for me.
yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I don't have much to say. Like I have a few pointers. I'm just gonna go through them real quick if you don't mind. Yeah, no, it was like it was like I said in the group. Like Bodo is the kind of team that you cannot underestimate because as much as it looks like an easy match, like they know what to do in possession. As you can see from the scarf right here, I'm a Spurs fan, and as from the other episodes as well. So I've watched Spurs play Bodo recently a couple of times. And what I noticed from them is that they're really well coached in possession. They have really organized and coordinated pressing system. So they can be an annoying team to play against, even if the technical quality is not necessarily equivalent to Dortmund's in terms of personnel. But yeah, I think Bodo really made us struggle in a few phases, especially in possession and build-up. I think they pressed well. I think Dortmund, as usual, struggles a little bit in possession. I thought guys like Jan Koto and Julian Brandt really helped us with creation this time. But what bugs me in this match particularly is that we gave them too much space since minute one. It was not even after we lost Anton, after we lost Anselminho, we were already giving them too much space since the beginning of the match. So it was already like a pretty even battle, even though Dortmund got the upper hand with that first Julian Brandt goal. But yeah, I think Bodo was always in the match. And when you underestimate a team that's well coached and knows what to do in possession and knows how to work the ball in those half spaces and corners as well, which is where they scored their first one, you're gonna possibly lose points. And that's what Dortmund did. And that's concerning because we are now, I think, tied with Spurs in 8 or 9, or like it was, no, sorry, I think it was 9 and 10, right below the final 8. And then we're playing Spurs at their home at London. Yeah, and they're just coming from a good positive run of matches. So yeah, that's a loss that is probably going to cost a top 8 finish for Dortmund, in my opinion.
Well, we're still only 1 point off, and like you only need one kind of like we need to probably who are our 2 remaining matches against?
It's Spurs in London, and then we play Inter at home, and that's a game I'm very worried about as well.
Yeah, so it's 2 difficult games, but like it's not over, and Dortmund will be playing knockout round Champions League football.
Yeah.
And obviously the odds would have been much easier. Like we needed to win 2 out of these 3 games, and you drew the hardest. But this isn't the end of the world from like an XG perspective. Like this is kind of what you would expect from Dortmund. It's about 2.89 to 1.38. And as much as you can say, like, we allowed them some space and They had some chances. They did have some chances. They took all their chances pretty much. The biggest thing that's jumping out for me is 7 saves from their goalie. Like at a certain point, like there's just some stuff you can do where like you can play well every game, but there's so few goals scored and scoring chances in soccer that if you just don't take your chances, it's not going to happen. And like one of the things, I didn't get a chance to watch the match, but like I saw when I looked at the shot map that we had a ton of shots off corners, which is something we've struggled with, and maybe that's like a bit of a physical advantage against a weaker side, but that's at least promising to see in some ways. Unlike my unshaven self at this point, which is just a bit depressing. But we have 2 other matches to quickly go through. So Borussia Dortmund have been knocked out of the DFB Pokal since we last had an episode. So I think let's get into that one really quickly because, again, it's like a positive performance, but you're not getting the goals and you're conceding, and all of a sudden you've lost your best chance to win a trophy this season. Again, a match I was working during, and unfortunately, I respect my employer's time, so you're going to have to carry this one too, Pedro. So can you tell me anything about this, or?
Nah, I'm used to it at this point. No, I'm just kidding. No, Dortmund Leverkusen. Yeah, I mean, it was like a week ago, so that's the match I probably I watched the least, or sorry, that I remember the least because of the time frame.
And people also care about it the least, Pedro, so we can go quickly here.
No, I care a lot about this match because it was our best chance of winning a trophy, and I'm sure our listeners all, or not all necessarily, but most of them would agree with me on that matter. But I'll try to be quick. In on this match, I mean, we had 20 shots on goal, only 4 on target, and only 3 big chances created. I think Dortmund really struggled in the final phase in finishing those chances with better quality. And like I think Leverkusen played really tactical match away from home, but at the same time, I think a really smart one. And I think the way they hurt us the most was when they were in build-up phase, and it was pretty similar to Xabi Alonso's setup, where you got Grimaldo drifting inside in the midfield, helping the build-up, very brave on the ball, like the whole team and the whole structure. I mean, I'm not watching Leverkusen religiously this season to really see if that pattern is repeating in other matches as well, but I thought they did it pretty well when they managed to suppress our pressing system, which was pretty shaky in this match, particularly in my opinion. That's when they found the better chances. They got some great opportunities against fewer of our players. We are in numerical disadvantage with our press being easily surpassed by their build-up. And I think that hurt us the most. And I think they even scored a second goal that was disallowed for like by just an inch. Like we were pretty lucky on that call, but the rules are the rules. So like I think that's that. But yeah, I think those are my overall impressions of the match. I thought Leverkusen played a really smart match. Very technical team. They really knew how to use the build-up to hurt us in transition, and they capitalized on that. And at the same time, Dortmund, as usual, struggles when has the possession, needs to press a more qualified team. Especially in the league, we have been struggling in that regard. So yeah, a little bit disappointing. Even though the XG is decent enough for us to score 1 or 2 goals, I thought we could have created more chances because only 4 shots on target from 20.
Yeah,
that's
and
not really positive.
Just breaking down the statistics, like the XG per shot from Dortmund is very below par, and also like when you concede a goal so early in the match, that's kind of just the way the match is going to go, especially at home. So you don't really get too much credit for putting up good shot numbers and a decent XG difference in that match. Like that doesn't really matter to me because you conceded early. That's the minimum I would hope for, but the XG per shot is just so poor that what you're saying is like in the final third, Borussia Dortmund can get the ball there, but once they got there, they just didn't really have any ideas, any invention. So that takes us into a match versus Hoffenheim. And, I watched this one, Pedro, so I can assist with the analysis here. And I thought this was like fine. This was like a fine match. FBref had this at 1.6 to 1.1 on XG, and you had 2 goals, the first coming from Julian Brandt and the second coming from Nico Schlotterbeck. Hoffenheim, as they have all season, have kind of tried to run through Bazumana Torre, and then they have a 2-striker kind of system with Lemperla as the poacher and Aslani kind of dropping off a little bit. And I think they had some decent moments there. A lot's been said of Aslani having a poor run of form, and in a lot of matches, he's just had a ton of key passes, a ton of shots, and hasn't seen them go in. In this match, though, I would say he was actually pretty well limited. We marked the cutback pretty well, I would say. It was that second man from midfield, Wouter Berger, he's just like a big lad that kind of runs through the box like Thomas Souček in the Premier League. I'm trying to think of some other guys that do that. Like a very, very, very poor man's Leon Goretzka almost. He can't contribute to build up in the same way, but he can do some of the big guy run into the box stuff that Goretzka does. I don't know. But that was the only thing that I really thought we struggled with. So essentially, our midfielders could attract better. But aside from that, did you notice anything going forward at the back?
Yeah, no, I think this match, I think my analysis is pretty similar to yours. I think it was a decent match. I think it was evenly fought match by both sides. I think Hoffenheim made us struggle a little bit in creation as well. I think it was how can I say this? I thought Dortmund played well. I still can see the same issues and the same patterns. And one that I was actually thinking with myself here while you're talking, and I think that's a current issue that we have with the striker situation in Dortmund. I think in all of these matches, I thought Girassi looked very below par. And I think that's also part of why we struggle in creation as well. I thought, for today, I thought Fabio Silva had a pretty good run on and off the ball. I think he has made the team look way more fluid than we had with Girassi. And I remember in the match against Leverkusen even, we were looking better with Fabio Silva. Even though we're still struggling to create chances, we're still combining better with him on the pitch. On the other side, when Girassi got in, we struggled a little bit more and just was crossing the box, and crossing the box. So I feel like that's a discussion we should also have, because I think Dortmund really relies on going to the byline and finding those kind of crosses. And I think Jan Koto had a pretty decent run of matches against Hoffenheim and Bodø, for instance. But at the same time, I think we can be more creative and allow this team to combine a little bit better. I think that's the main struggle in this past few weeks, I think, considering all these matches.
Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest chance young Koto created is not one where he's running to the byline. It's one where he's kind of running up the right wing. He's not necessarily cutting in, but he's staying a bit more central, and he's able to play that through ball for Girassi. That he slams it off the woodwork in the 90th minute. But that's a much more efficient way to create chances. If you can start to create more chances that way, those chances tend to be bigger. The issue is Dortmund don't play a ton of guys that are capable of creating that type of chance. Like you look at Jan Koto, Karim Adeyemi, Julian Brandt, those are your 3 guys. And I guess 2 of those guys have started regularly this season, but it's almost like you're seeing a lot of like Brandt and Kareem Adeyemi, like when they are playing, they're tasked to play much more as strikers and play on that last line, run in behind, run into space, and so they're not really able to like drop off and create chances from the edge of the area. That's not a ton of what Kareem Adeyemi does, but he has done some of it at times. So maybe I'm getting a bit of a stretch there. So it's like, where's the profile in the squad that's capable of doing that? Because you hear all these build stories that Joe Bellingham isn't incisive enough, but it's like the only guy we have in the midfield that really has played those passes at any level since the U21, like past the U21s, is Pascal Gross. And Pascal Gross really is out of favor. And I think a big part of that is the option to, he has an option to extend his contract that's triggered by either the amount of appearances or the amount of minutes played, I believe. And so if you're not going to play a guy because you don't want to pay him next year, which it feels a little weird to me because he's not he's a useful squad player, and that's a profile that we could really use in the team, but they're really shying away from it, and it's not like his salary is that big. Like, we have so much money coming off the books, I wouldn't hate paying him for another year. I don't know what his physical numbers look like in training, but that's almost the solution I would point towards for some of these chance creation issues, because this is a lot of matches. We didn't have that against Bodø Glimt, at least statistically. Again, didn't watch the match, but in that match, a lot of the chances we're creating are offset pieces, and there could also just be variants where we're completing more crosses, and part of that is because Bodø Glimt is maybe less effective in the air, but I don't really know. I think it's the biggest thing is just like, why are we playing this system where we're never going to be able to create good types of chances consistently with the profiles we're willing to put on the pitch? Because it's like, one of the two guys we have that can do it, we refuse to play because we don't want to pay him next year.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think even the way we played today against Bodo really emphasizes that. It was always like three guys in the build up, two guys in the midfield, and then have all the rest, all the flankers expanding the field, and having Nico inverting the ball to the right, and then having Selminho inverting the ball to the left, and just finding those spaces close to the byline to find nice crosses, which is okay. Like, I think it's a interesting way to attack and to set up your team, but you gotta more have more alternatives when there isn't too much space or your opponents are sitting a little bit deeper and you don't have that kind of space to go in. Also, we don't have that many players that go one on one well, besides Karim Adeyemi and Duranville, but Duranville is not playing. So in that sense, I think we need that more variety and different ways to attack. And I think Gross is actually a really decent option, like especially playing in more kind of the hybrid 10 or like more 8 role, just getting closer to the box and finding those nice spaces, especially in the half spaces and sometimes close to the byline, where can he can find those low crosses that can really hurt opponents. He has that kind of like trickery that I think would be interesting for this Dortmund team that doesn't have many creative alternatives, as you said. And Young Koto, for instance, I think that's a kind of a profile that we need to see more. Like, for instance, today, like he was substituted around, I think it was the 70 minute for Ryerson. And I mean, I was like, why? We need to score an extra goal. Like, we need a guy that can create high quality chances and can create either from the midfield and also in the flank. And Koto is that guy. Of course, he has his defensive struggles, but he was different this past two matches. I'm not gonna forget GRC for missing that shot and shooting the bar when Kota created the most beautiful chance, just dribbling everyone from defense to midfield and finding the beautiful pass to Serhu to score his own goal on that match against Hoffenheim. But Yeah, I think that's mainly the analysis. I think uh, Dortmund struggle a lot, and I think the manager is not finding the alternatives. Of course, we have some personal issues, and that's also on the manager side, in my opinion. But I think
But it's
there's
like,
also those solutions within the squad that he can find, you know?
yeah, like in this match, you're telling me that you need the athleticism of both Nemecha and Bellium. Like, you can't sub in Gross for Nemecha. Like, Nemecha's at about 1,300 minutes from the League and Champions League already. With the Cup, he's probably over 1,500 minutes. This is a guy who's barely cracked 2,000 League and Champions League minutes ever for Dortmund. Um, if he has, like, this is a guy who's struggled to break 2,000 minutes. He's on pace for 3,000 this year, and you can't rotate in Pascal. Like, what was the point of spending so much money on Pascal Gross if you can't start him against Bodø Glimt in year 2 of his contract? That to me is a concern. Like, if we're so scared of triggering that extra 1 year add-on to his contract, like, what? Like, we're scared of that? Like, this is a guy who, when he's been on the pitch, has performed for Borussia Dortmund. I really don't get it. It just does not make sense to me when we have these chance creation issues and you're choosing to go with a guy who's 25 now and has not really put up an impressive season as a creator over Pascal Gross against a team that you should be trying to dominate. And, like, statistically, you still did, but, like, if you're looking for how can I get the win, how can I be a little bit better, how can I be a little bit more ruthless, like, that to me is the only answer. Like, we have it in the squad. I don't know why you would spend all that money on the profile if you're not going to be able to play him in year 2 of a 2+1 contract. Like, just does not make sense to me. But, you know, Pedro, I don't get paid the big bucks. I don't. So let's move on. Star of the week. There's an obvious answer here. There's actually, I think, 2 pretty straightforward. I'm going to let you go second because I want to take the more obvious one and let you talk about your very little boy. And I'm going to go with Julian Brandt. It's 3 goals from these games. Julian Brandt was very heavily criticized last season, despite putting up his 3rd or 4th straight season with 20 goals and assists. And he's well on his way to doing that again after a brace today. Like, Julian Brandt has consistently, like, performed this season. Like, it's just consistent what he's done. And really today, it's a continuation of what he's done all season. And that's just, like, find his way on to being on the end of these really, really big chances. And so now he has 8 goals and assists as we sit here, December 10th. He's 29 years old. He's going to turn 30 this year. And he's just putting in another very good campaign. He's not a world-class player. He never has been. But this is another very, very good season that we should be very appreciative of in Julian Brandt. Historically has been a bit more of a creator. But this year, he's finding his way on to being on the end of these really big chances. And who would have thought? Like, Julian Brandt basically playing as a poacher the last 2 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that was the obvious option, of course. And of course, to consider him if it wasn't a certain guy that I'm a big fan of. And of course, like, I'm biased. I'm from Brazil, but I think Ian Couto really thrived in these past few games, especially against Hoffenheim. I even remember talking to Eli on the group chat, and you were basically trashing Ian Couto. And as soon as he had his
There were
bit
a
of
couple bad
glory,
moments in there.
yeah, no, yeah, and I'm gonna say they weren't there, of course. Like, we know he has some defensive deficiencies. We know his physical profile doesn't help even though he's not that strong of a defender in terms of like posture, the way he positions himself, that could like help him to overcome his issues with his physical profile. But I mean, offensively, I think he really compensates that, and I think he's such a technical player for a wingback who can play those kind of passes to Girassi with the back of his right foot, just finding him between the lines with the perfect timing for Saber to score, and just to hit the crossbar. So disappointing, but I thought Young Koto did really good this week. He did really good against Bodø, so I think was more of a balance match in terms of offensive and defensive performance by him. He started the play of the first goal. He crossed to Maxi Bayer, who hit the keeper, and then Julian Brandt got it covered after that. So for me, Young Koto, I don't have that many opportunities to just call him out as our star. So I'm just gonna go with Young Koto, my Brazilian boy.
Yeah, Pedro, he put up like over half of his expected assists on the season in that one match. Like that's pretty significant. And so like when you're saying like he has the attacking ability to kind of outweigh some of his defensive issues, like we saw that against Hoffenheim. But we have to see this a little bit more consistently, excuse me. But I was very appreciative to see it. But let's get some negatives in here. Dud of the week. I missed 2 of the 3 matches, so this is kind of hard for me. And those are the 2 matches that we did worse in. So
Yeah, I mean, I thought you were gonna go with the more obvious one, the guy we already talked about. Like I talked about Sirhu in the beginning of the pod. But I mean, I think overall Sirhu is the dud, especially because of the way that the team looked worse when he was on the pitch, and the fact he didn't capitalize on any of his chances in the past 3 matches. And it was an important run, like it was an important game at home against Bodø that it needed to be a win. He didn't start, of course. We need that rotation, but when he was on the pitch, he lost the ball that originated Bodø's second goal. So in that sense, he didn't help either. At the same time, I think Joe Bellingham could have done some better work. I think he played against Leverkusen and against Bodø. And at the same time, I see his qualities. I think he has talent. He has good ball retention. He has good frame. He has good ball ability on the ball. But at the same time, I thought, especially today, which was more like fresh memory for me because the match just ended. I thought he played too many lateral passes. I mean, I've seen some stats here on SofaScore: 0 key passes against Bodø. Only tried 1 cross, but got that non-accurate, and then expected assist 0.05. And even if you see his passing stats, like passes in opposition half, he had 31 from 35, so that's 89% accuracy. But if you look his passing maps, all those passes are a little bit lateral or a little bit too far from the box,
I mean,
or didn't find that many opportunities. No, sorry.
He has some good ones. The way I'd analyze that is like with his ability, like you see him play some good passes, like specifically like there's a couple nice lateral balls out to the wing that are advancing the ball up the pitch a little bit. But this is a guy whose abilities I think you and I both believe in. And we did talk in the summer about like this guy's probably a year away from being very, very good. And he's not very, very good yet. But like he's better than what he's showing, and he's capable of playing some of these more incisive passes. So you'd almost criticize him for having that high pass accuracy because you want him to try some of the things that you and I believe he's capable of.
Absolutely. You just took the words out of my mouth. I think I'm not saying lateral passes are bad. Like, of course, you need to play safe and you need to control the ball. You need that guy to dictate tempo, know how to play on the side, and then how to play the that progressive pass that's going to put the attackers in a good position to score. But at the same time, in this match, especially just by the eye test, I saw some windows or sometimes where he took a little bit too long to play a ball, or he had a good window to play a progressive pass, but he decided to go more safe. So I think, of course, he's still young, but I was expecting maybe a little more be a little bit more brave on the ball on his side. I don't think he's the dud. I think Sergio is the, like, for me, obvious dud in this week. But yeah, I think there was just a side note that I had in my head that I needed to put it out there just to see it. Like, not saying that I don't want to trash Joe Bellingham at all. I just think he could be a little bit more brave on the ball and be more like emphatic in the way he shows himself in this Dortmund midfield.
Yeah. So SofaScore player ratings has Maxi Bayer as the lowest for the Bodø Glimt game. I can't go in that direction. That is horrific to me because the way a lot of these rating systems work, I'm quick rant. SofaScore, you should get a dud of the week, but you don't play for Borussia Dortmund, so we don't do that. But like Maxi Bayer put up like 0.66 non-penalty XG. I can't remember the last time a certain Serhou Guirassy did that. And you know how much more money Serhou Guirassy gets paid? Oh my god, dude, it's double. It's double. It's not double in salary, but if you add the bonus, the amount of dollars per year, the amount of euros per year, whatever currency you want to use, that Serhou Guirassy is getting paid per season is about double what Maxi Bayer is getting paid per season. He's at least shooting. Maxi Bayer's shooting. Maxi Bayer's pressing his ass off. So I will agree with you. Serhou Guirassy, you can get a dud of the week, but I have to give a different one because there's only two of us. And I'm going to cave to my own narrative. It's Gregor Kobel.
No, don't do it.
Dude, I didn't watch the first goal, obviously, against Bodø Glimt. I could be looking really stupid here, but the post-shot XG was, like, pretty low. The shot has a very central location. Greg, you got to make a save here. Like, come on. Second goal, big chance for Bodø. Cool. The finishing in Leverkusen, I remember it being a pretty good finish, but it's just like, Greg, be better.
Come on, man.
He had a good match against Hoffenheim in there, but I'm only judging him on his negatives, and I didn't watch the negatives. I had to say a name, and I didn't watch the games.
Yeah, that sucks, man. But yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with you, especially in the Bodø match. Of course,
I'm not sure I agree with me. I didn't watch the games.
Yeah, you're in clear disadvantage, and I don't judge you by that. I just thought in the first goal was basically like, if I could just narrate it to you, basically Bodø took a short corner close to the half space. Then the lines just came a little bit closer where the ball was, and then it was a quick switch, and then they just crossed it really quick, and their attack got our defense a little bit like by surprise, and then Greg and the whole defense couldn't do anything. It was a pretty good like set piece planning by Bodø, and the second one was a little bit of a good play. Like, there was a little bit of a scrappy goal in my opinion, because I don't remember who, but he tried to make a tackle, but the ball, like, he couldn't take the ball entirely, and it was just left there for their striker to finish an easy goal. I don't think either of those goals are on Greg, so I'm sorry to disagree.
It's funny because like the post shot XG, like in a single game, like we can get harsh, but it's kind of like just the way it goes a lot of the time, because like as a goalie, when a lot's going on, your positioning some of the times is going to be imperfect. And so against Bodø, he probably just got his positioning wrong and let in a shot that he could have saved had he had better positioning, and it looks worse statistically because of that. And one of the reasons he had worse positioning was probably because like other people messed up and it created a chaotic situation. But like just to show the variance in goalkeeping numbers, he had zero point 0.9 post shot XG save. I'm using different models. I'm using FBref for the Hoffenheim match where he had a very good match statistically, and I'm using SofaScore because it has more real time data because the match just happened for Bodø. But regardless, we can disregard what I said because because I didn't watch the bad matches, and I'm trying to come up with something here. But let's get into the news. We have Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, Besiktas all being interested in Emre Can and have hoped to sign the player in the winter. However, the player clearly sees his future in Dortmund. Club bosses Lars Ricken and Sebastian Kehl also want to extend Emre Can's contract per build. Do you want to start the analysis? I can analyze this. You don't need to watch a game to analyze that.
No. You can go full analysis. You are the original Emre Can hater. I'm just gonna say don't
Listen.
like Kel, like don't do it. Don't do it. Let the guy go. Let him go. Like we need a young defense. Yeah, just go. Yeah, do your rent.
You're right to say I was early on the train because I did start it. I did start the Emre Can hate train, but now I'm different, Pedro. In my old age, I'm much kinder, and you know what? He's only played 180 minutes this year. So first of all, I'm not going to be kind to you. This idea that Borussia Dortmund is desperate to extend this guy's contract, it's ridiculous. I don't think they're desperate. I think it's a consideration, but I think it's a consideration in that this guy is fifth choice center back. Like, this guy is not being thought of as a starter anymore. Like, he came back, he was given a chance. He's technically still club captain. We're going to be respectful. He will probably finish the season as club captain. But, like, this guy's not thought of as a starter. Like, this guy didn't start against Hoffenheim. We then rotate against Bodø Glimt. And you know your starting center backs in this match? Anselmino over Sean, Anton over Sean, Schlotterbeck, all over him. All clearly above him. Anton gets injured. Who goes to center back? Not Emre Can. On comes one of our most used players this season in Daniel Svensson. So, and you can't even say it's because he's a left footer, because Nico Schlotterbeck and Ben Sebaini are both left footers. Like, it's not like Anton, like Emre Can has played in the middle of the back three. That's his most commonly used spot. So Emre Can only comes on when Aaron Anselmino gets hurt. I think that's where Emre Can's future is, and that's as Dortmund's fifth choice center back. And I actually don't hate that. If the money is like at 10 million, like, can you find a better veteran center back on a free? Maybe, but like, maybe the guy's going to be worse in the locker room. He's not going to be as professional. He's not going to be a great mentor. Like, there's so many other things that Emre Can has allegedly, and I do believe he's provided, because it's not like players talk shit about him. It's just people like Pedro and I on podcasts. And so, like, do I hate Emre Can as my starting center back or a starting midfielder for the last 5 years? Yeah, like, that's not a great way to put yourself in good positions to win titles. But do I like Emre Can as like a fifth choice center back, given how versatile our back line is right now, where like you have four guys that can play any of the spots? Like, you have enough left footers, you have enough right footers, that you just have four guys good enough to go in to any of the spots like before him. I'm fine with that. Like, you're gonna lose Nicolas Sula. You replace that one spot, potentially, like, with Anselmino coming in full time. I don't know. I feel like I'd have to really look at the minutes at the end of the season and see how many minutes you need to replace, because it's not like Nicolas Sula's played a ton. But as a fifth choice, maybe sixth choice, I do not hate Emre Can.
No.
So
I
let's
think
move on.
me neither. He looks like a nice guy, but yeah, just not play for Dortmund. Let's go to the next topic.
Yeah, like if he gets sold for like 5 to 10 million in the winter, maybe like even if he gets sold for less, I don't think anyone's complaining because we're talking about a role that's just not highly valued. Patrick Berger said nervousness is slowly mounting in Dortmund. Nico Schlotterbeck has still not made a decision about his future and continues to hesitate about extending his contract. Currently, the most realistic scenario is the player will not extend his contract. Real Madrid and Bayern are monitoring. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, it's just so frustrating. And I mean, I can really blame those clubs. I think Nico Schlotterbeck would make a difference in any top club in Europe right now. Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. I mean, Real Madrid have Rudiger and Houston, but still think Schlotty can get his spot in the biggest club in the world, besides Dortmund, of course. But he would solve so many problems for so many clubs. I think he would be perfect for Barcelona. I think they are craving for a center back like him next to Kubarsi. Liverpool, like after Van Dijk retires or leaves the club, I think he's the perfect
I mean,
substitute for him. So
is he not better
then Van Dijk,
right now?
right? Yeah, I would say so. I think against Prime Van Dijk, I think it's hard to debate, and I think by the end
Yeah,
of
not
Schlotter's
prime, but
career, yeah, but probably by the end of Schlotter's career,
I'm not saying
depending
by
on
the
how
end of the
it goes.
career. I'm just saying like right now,
No, yeah, of
one
course. No,
season. Like I'm not even saying over the lifetime of a contract. I'm saying like right now, like this is
yeah. No, I was just creating this debate in my head. Like by the end of end of his years as a footballer, would depending on how his career goes after that, like would we have a debate between both, like being, especially if Nico goes to a club that actually wins trophies, which is not the case for Dortmund, but yeah, I think, yeah, I wouldn't really blame him, like,
yeah.
especially, yeah, like we can do much. Like, I don't think there's much news, because I think that's pretty, like, realistic for him just to seek, like, more chances to win trophies consistently, which is not Dortmund right now. We might in the future, if a few changes happen in the club, in my opinion, but right now, like I totally understand him, like on a professional side, and just being like craving that trophy that unfortunately we know that's not coming to the Signal Iduna Park this season. We wasted that chance in the Pokal. So
Yeah, for Nico Schlotterbeck, he's actually the same age. He's probably a little younger still than when Van Dijk left Southampton in the winter of his age 26 season, because Nico Schlotterbeck just turned 26 a couple days ago. I wasn't saying over the course of their careers, like I'm not going to speculate on how Nico Schlotterbeck's next 8 years go. But I'm saying like right now, he's probably as good, if not better, than a 34-year-old Virgil van Dijk. He's played over 1,000 minutes since returning from his injury. Maybe that's like the one concern you'd have, but this is, like you said, a guy that makes every team better. Do I think he's leaving? I don't really get as nervous as some of the reporters would like you to believe. I think this is a bit of a busy time in the season. I don't think Nico Schlotterbeck is particularly pressed on this. Like, he has a couple years left on his contract. I think the club's a little bit more pressed. And, like, probably should have done this in the summer, honestly, because you're looking at a guy who hasn't really fully returned from his rehab. Like, get him while he's down, if that makes sense. They didn't do that, and I do understand that to some degree you're lessening your risk because there could be any number of setbacks along the way, and then all of a sudden you're out of a lot of money. But from where you are right now, am I worried? No, like Julian Brandt was just joking about this. These guys are playing 3 matches a week. Like I don't think that I'll get worried until we go to the first international break in like February-ish. The first international break after we get through the winter break, like that's when my worry level would get above 75%. I think right now I'm going to be like 10-15% worried if we get through the winter break and we haven't heard about like a breakthrough in negotiations. That's when my worry gets to be about a coin flip of he stays, he goes. But right now I'm not there yet. Personally, yeah, like you're entitled to be more worried than me. That's just not where I'm at when some of like the Brant comments are like, dude, we're playing football. Like, the guy's not gonna be signing a new contract. Like, if you think about it, there's just no reason for Nico Schlotterbeck to sign a new contract until we return from the Christmas break, because he can just have a little bit more time to sit down with his, I believe, fiance, wife, and kind of like talk through the next decision for his career. But again, I won't blame Nico Schlotterbeck either way. He's served the club very well, and if he does leave, like I heard another podcast talk about like 60 million, and I'm like, that's a joke. That's not serious.
He's a 100 million player in my opinion. Of course, no one's gonna pay that for.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
like there's not a world in which he leaves for less than Jamie Gittins. Don't do that to yourselves. So next up, also from Patrick Berger, we have him reporting Julian Duranville is set to be loaned out in the winter. He has been actively offered to Gladbach in recent days. However, they are not going to pursue him at this stage. Bremen have also been looking at the Belgian winger. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's disappointing. Such a skillful player like Juju not having enough minutes in Dortmund, but like we say in sports, like availability eats an ability. So you need also to be on the pitch to play. And Julian unfortunately had some injury issues in his Dortmund career that are not expected for a guy his age. Of course, it's not his fault, but yeah, like the club needs to move on at some point, or just at least just give the boy like enough minutes to evolve as a player and develop, so they can actually sell him or use
like a gap guy in the winter, just to add up to the ranks that we already have, and just to add another option that we could have with Duranville, could possibly play in either flank. But yeah, he has not seen the field much in Dortmund, hasn't he?
So yeah, basically for Julian Duranville, we got to get him some more minutes, and like he's still got time. He's very young, but it's just I don't need to talk about this more. Like we'll talk about him when he's playing. How about that? That feels rude. I'm sorry. But moving on, after being knocked out of the DFB Pokal, the bosses have rallied the team around the Champions League and Bundesliga. Even if no one is saying it officially, the club wants to finish at least second in the league to make a statement. With Julian Brandt saying, I'm sure there will be talks. I think that's a separate story. Anyway, like that's the minimum at this point. Like, you have to prove that you're a serious team. This is why you brought in Niko Kovac. It's the high floor. And let's get back to second. Let's show we're building towards something, that we're making progress, and like that'll be a successful campaign, because we've seen the issues this club has had, throwing good money after bad and trying to chase this win now mentality when you're not building a sustainable system. And that's kind of why we ended up in a very bad way at the end of Terzic's reign, and at the start of Shaheen's as well, because that was rough. Next up, we have Julian Brandt saying, I'm sure there will be talks around New Year's. Basically, it will just be about what the club's perspective is. Of course, it's about how we envision the next few years. I've got a fantastic club here. I feel extremely comfortable here. Sebastian Kehl and I have a sensational relationship. We will sit down together at the right time. So if the club wants to keep Julian Brandt around, they will, because Julian Brandt seems very happy in Dortmund. And after a brace, we'll see if the club is feeling positively about him. So that's pretty good for him. Our next story from TNT Sport Chile. Borussia Dortmund and Bayern are monitoring FC Michelin's David Osorio. He's listed in SofaScore as Dario Osorio, just for your awareness if you're trying to look him up. And there has recently been intensified scouting of the right winger. Clubs like Liverpool, West Ham, and AFC Bournemouth are also showing interest in Osorio. I honestly haven't seen Michelin play this year. I work fully in the office, so these European games are very difficult for me to catch anything of. But yeah, Michelin is a well-run club. They have a heavily stats-based models that they use. They're very much on the forefront of that. Osorio has 9 goals and assists in 13 league starts. Beyond, like, his shot numbers are pretty good. His key pass numbers pretty good. Like, I don't know what else there is to tell you. He seems to be pressing. Dribble success rate's high, but it's not unbelievable for being in such a bad league. So that's maybe like a bit of a concern. He's not incredibly young at 21, but he is young. He doesn't have enough Europa League numbers or minutes this year for me to really comment too much more. But seems cool. Like, what's the price? That really impacts things, because we've seen some of these teams out in Denmark and Norway charge pretty considerable fees. So that would be a bit of a concern for me, but we'll see where that lands if it ever comes to fruition. And lastly, the Borussia Dortmund away kit for the 26-27 season will be neon purple. What do I think about this? Nothing. Purple is my favorite color. Borussia Dortmund is black and yellow. I separate these things. And I don't know. I don't think I feel positively. I'll put it that way. Greg can wear purple because he's Greg. He's a goalie. Goalies don't count, but they do count as people. Next up, Dortmund Dispatch Fantasy League. Yours truly has reached the top 20, but I can't say too much on that because we have to give some respect to the people that matter, and that's the top 5. And starting off the top 5 is my dear friend Clea. Good job. Number 4, Red Munich. Munich is blue, 1860. Learn about it. Then we have Pints of Bayer in 3rd, Bissek and Bauer in 2nd, and Supercalifragilistic running away with it, honestly. About 1,500 points clear in that top spot. And that'll do it for us. Thank you guys so much for joining, and have a good one.
Jadon Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Reus out. Another fantastic goal by Marco Reus. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond
Jetzt
compare.
kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Isco an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!